department. So can you say a little bit more about that? I mean, obviously that makes it a little difficult if you are an employee and you want to actually move from one, company to another. You then have to sacrifice your license, or you have to reapply for a license. It does eliminate your ability to move between employers, at least somewhat. Address that a little bit more. I think it's worth hearing a little more on the subject.
Sure, thank you. So really, the NYPD has a tremendous task before them, right? Running this great city, watching over all of us, and it's extremely difficult to now put this burden on them. And we heard from the inspector before how they've gotten some arrests done, they've done some things in Battery Park, and we all will agree that when you go down to Battery Park today, you don't really see much of a significant difference, and it's a small dent in the process that they're doing. What we're suggesting really is legitimized companies should be licensed with their ticket sellers. If you go down today, the guys in red are my guys. We work together. You won't see my guys in the park or where they're not supposed to be, whether it's the subway station or wherever else. If you go to the Empire State Building, our guys are located in different zones. If you go to Times Square, they're located in different places because it's my responsibility. I have a license with DCA, I have a license with DOT. It's my responsibility to work with my neighbors. It's much easier to now control or license the company, that the company now watches over their employees with their membership. With regard to the independents that are buying tickets, it's a needle in a haystack. They may get arrested, they may get a ticket, but it's a cost of doing business. And unfortunately, our members, because they get paid W-2, they get benefits, they're union members, they're going to be subject to be brought in for rules, and we would discipline them or not discipline them on the fact based on what happens, and we could sit with whatever the authority is, no difference if it was a bus driver or a tour guide. And then the result is that there's a working environment. The independents, they come back out, they pay the fine, they spend the night in jail, they come back out, and they do what they do. On the getting to more specifically to your question, if somebody wants to leave from Grand Line and go to Big Bus, there's nothing wrong with that. The license should definitely transfer over. The reality is the license should be tied to the company, because the company should be held responsible, just like the employees are. And if that employee is in good standing and DCA says that this person is fine, who are we to say where the person should do make their livelihood? But the reality is, unfortunately, in today's world, if somebody walks into our HR department and applies for a job, we don't know if they're a bad actor. There's no mechanism for us besides for putting them onto the street, and within 30 days, maybe, we'll figure out that this person does not represent what we want to have out there. And I think it's something that I can say for myself, and in talking briefly with the Big Bus, I think we both agree with that. So if an employee is a legitimate employee and they want to transfer that license, we have no issue whatsoever with that. They're here to make money, and we don't want to get in their way for that. But we don't want to just be recycling from one to the next, and that makes us it's not what we want to have represented out there.
Now, of course, your proposal does put a lot of people out of work, people who are today independent actors who otherwise are selling tickets. It may not be for your company or a parallel company, but they are selling tickets. And so I think that is a point of concern, and there may be a debate to be had as to whether or not licensing them gives a greater degree of control by the city, or whether it gives the blessing of the city to arguably bad behavior. For me, I think that you can't really, I don't think want to be in the business of putting them out of business, but we do want to make sure the city can put some rules on them, and if they are bad actors, have the ability to withdraw the privilege of being a ticket seller out there on the street. So I take your point, and I feel free to respond to it, but I also know that others want to comment.
We don't want to put anybody out of business, and that's not the point of this. The point of this is to be able to do enforcement.
But if they can't get a license, then they can't sell.
So the reality is, if you go down to Battery Park, they were all selling tickets from one boat operator or another, and they can be attached. So if I come in and I buy from whatever the boat company is, X amount of tickets, so now I'm selling those tickets, they should be attached to that company, so that when the customer walks over and sells them a ticket that is $29 face value for $45, there is a repercussion, so that now the company will not give them tickets again. That's the goal here. So there's a cost of doing business, there's a cost of somebody being out there and saying, we're gonna break the rules because it's no big deal because I'm making a couple extra bucks. And there's a difference with saying, wait a minute, we got a violation because you sold the ticket $20 over face, you did not do the right job, and therefore, we now will not sell you the tickets unless there's certain guarantees. 1 strike, 2 strikes, you're out. It's no different than any other employee or any other business where you want to have some sort of regulation. I can't have my buses idling for a reason. I can't do certain things. There's certain rules out there because of what our society is. Here, what happens is it's just a cost for them to do their job. They're hurting the legitimate ticket sellers because my guys cannot sell a ticket at a different price.
So DCA testified that what they wanted to recommend in this bill was that there be a rebuttable presumption that the business whose information appears on the face of a ticket is liable for the behavior of the individual selling the ticket, in order to give DCA the tools, and not just the ticket sellers, to hold these folks accountable for problematic behavior. Does that not deal with the problem that you're describing?
If there's enforcement, it will. We're giving you an option to help enforce, because I believe, we see it, what happened in the past. For NYPD to enforce, it is extremely difficult. When you have a company that has something to lose, we have supervision out there, we'll be the ones that are out there making sure that we represent the right product for New York City.
Well, I think that's certainly correct, that without enforcement here,
And unfortunately, we believe that there has not been, and if you look at Battery Park, there is no enforcement.
We got it, and I think that, we want to at least give an additional tool, and I think it sounds like there's almost, maybe even complete uniformity of view that some form of licensing here is a good idea for the purpose of giving the police that additional tool to be able to get a bad actor off the street if such a thing exists. I mean, it's kind of remarkable that today you actually have people doing cash or credit card transactions on a street corner without any, ability to file a 311 complaint or the ability to make any sort of complaint or get your money back or do anything, which does not put New York City's best foot forward when we're talking about how we interact with tourists. So I think that you're fundamentally right about enforcement and also holding somebody accountable, and it's one of the reasons why I think that we should be taking a look at DCA's proposal.
We welcome working with DCA and the council on this.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Say, based on the conversations that the Central Labor Council has had with our affiliate, TWU Local 225, and this is certainly something I think you would have to discuss with the gentleman who testified on their behalf before, that it is the interest of the union that the workers be the ones who hold those licenses and not the employer, to give the employee autonomy and the ability to dictate their own career and serve as a check and balance. And I think that's again, I'm not an expert, but that's the position of the affiliate.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
James, what was it?